All right, guys, I'm back. Very brief break there. Thank you for sticking around. Round two beginning. This round I have for you Christian on our left, or no, on our right, I lied. He is playing Pummeler. Okay. So he's on Pummeler combo, you could call it, I guess. Our other player on our left-hand side, Richard, he is on a personal favorite of mine. He is on 4-color Saheeli. I'm happy. All right, so we'll get that off the score there. Pretty quick turnaround time to start this round. They were the last game playing, of course, so not a big shocker there. Richard looks to actually have a couple spicy cards here, though, in his list. He's playing the normal things you see, like Rogue Refiner, Oath of Nissa. He's playing some Deep Fiends. He's playing the Marvels. He's also playing, however, 2 copies of Aether-Tide Whale and 2 copies of Nahiri the Harbinger. It looks like we have started here. Christian on the play, pretty important here. He's got a copy of Evolving Wilds to start it off here. Richard's going to have a forest into his copy of Attune with Ether. So a good start for Richard. That is the best case scenario here. He starts off with some energy, gets to fix his colors a little bit here. When you're playing 4 colors, you really have to fix that mana. So let's see. He's playing 3 manlands as well. He's got 2 copies of Lumbering Falls and a singleton copy of Wandering Fumarole as utility lands, I guess. Aether-Tide Whale is interesting, though. Christian fetches a mountain at the end of turn. There's a copy of Larger Than Life in Christian's hand. We're going to start it off, however, with a copy of Servant of the Conduit. Now, Richard has his own copies of Servant, so we may see those come. Maybe one of those come down here. There is an Nahiri in his hand. Looks like he has something to do, though. He just passes the turn back. A Felidar Guardian. I believe there's a whale in his hand. Nahiri. He's got all the Marvel in his hand, got all the action in his hand. Another Servant comes down for Christian. He goes to 4 energy. He's going to use one of them to play a Long Tusk Cub. So currently has access to 3 energy, so he has access to one ability of the Long Tusk Cub. Or 1 activation, I should say. This is a deck we haven't seen a lot of recently. It is possible Vest. I don't have a good look right now. He's going to be Oath of Nissing. He sees Aether Hub, Aetherworks Marvel, and a Felidar Guardian. He's going to choose the Guardian. So if Christian maybe wasn't sure of what was happening yet, he is now. Richard plays out his planes and passes back. No, there's no shock in there. It looks like he has, if I'm not mistaken, he has 2 Guardians, an Aetherworks Marvel, and a Nahiri, and some lands, and a whale. But there is the Pummeler. There is a 1-of Shock in Richard's deck, but he hasn't drawn it yet. Yeah, it was the Nahiri you saw there. So Pummeler comes down. Here's an attack for 4. Richard is going to take that. It looks like, Christian will, before damage, pump up his copy of Long Tusk Cub. Okay, and pass the turn back. It looks like Christian also attuned this turn, so... Right, 4 mana comes. Here comes Nahiri. She's gonna exile the cub. He could just be dead though. I don't know how much energy Christian has right now, but there is a copy of Larger Than Life in his hand. I think he's at 10 now, which means the Pummeler has 3 activations. So if I'm not mistaken, Richard's just dead. Yeah. Yeah, Larger Than Life, my Pummeler. Make it a 5/5, attack you, make it 10, make it 20. Make it 40. Yep, that's the game. All right. So a quick game 1 from Christian. Richard didn't really find any of his removal or interaction except for that Nahiri, and that just doesn't fight an untapped Pummeler, of course. Moving over to the sideboards here. Christian's going to know that he's against some version of Saheeli. So looking at his sideboard, keeping that in mind, he's going to be able to bring in... he has 2 copies of Shocks he should bring in. And that looks like that's about it. Maybe Deadlock Trap. It can lock down. No, that's not good because you just blink Saheeli, it doesn't matter. So he's got 2 copies of Shock. Richard, on the other hand, he knows what he's against. He's got 1 copy of Natural Obsolescence. Fumigate's probably okay. Negate could be okay. Expertise of Baral's expertise could be okay. Consulate Crackdown could be okay. He's got a couple things. I think he should look at more so what he wants to take out of his deck. I don't like Nahiri in this matchup, so I think I'd take that out. There's 2 copies of that. You can probably take out one of your Marvels. Ethertide Whale costs like 8 or something like that to use its ability. Something insane. Oh, what? I thought this was the Oh, I don't like this one very much. I thought this was the one that lets you bounce all other creatures. This just gives you an activation of Marvel, I guess. Yeah, I thought this is the one that bounces all other creatures. I would take this card out right away. Especially in this matchup here, it's just too slow. What's the one that bounces everything back to its owner's hand? I think it's in Kaladesh. Yeah, I mean it's a great answer. It's a great threat against like control decks because it does just protect itself every time they try to kill it. But that's about it. Christian quickly mulligans away his 7. I don't think he had any lands. Aether Squall Angel, that's what I was thinking of. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Best. Christian looks to have kept his 6 and Scribes at the bottom. Richard will have the play here. We're going to start it off. I think he has a Forest to start it off. Yep. Forest and a pass of the turn, so this is actually out of Christian's sideboard. He brought in his copies of Bomat Courier. I'm curious about that. Yeah, Death Metal Dane. It kind of fell out of popularity when we first started streaming. This deck was everywhere at our store. We pretty much couldn't avoid a night without it. Wow. Okay, more couriers coming in. Let's go. But yeah, it fell off a bit in popularity, but Christian has picked it up back here at our store. So he won his first round. These guys are 1-0, so they are playing for 2-0. Richard does this time have a copy of Harness Lightning. Oh, okay. He also, in hand, does have a copy of the Fumigate he brought in from his sideboard. He passes the turn back, holding up Harness Lightning here. We're going to attack here with the Couriers, trigger on the Couriers. I think he's just taking the damage here. I think he wants to hold up the Lightning for an actual threat. Now, the Bomat Couriers are good because they will be able to restock Christian's hand once he's cast all his spells. But I believe that Brawler is probably going to eat a Harness Lightning here, if I had to guess. It'll net him an energy. I just can't see Richard wanting to pass this turn cycle and do nothing. I think I want to Harness Lightning this Voltaic Brawler, get it out of the way, gain an energy for doing it, and then next turn I can either slam a Marvel or play a Saheeli. Yeah, down goes the Brawler. He paid 3 to kill it? Oh no, sorry, he had to use it for red. My apologies. Yeah, he had to use that for red. So, okay, so only has 2 energy now thanks to the Aether Hub coming into play. There is an Oath of Nissa to come down here. Okay, this could find... I would have liked to have seen him play this before his land drop in case he finds a tap land, like that Lumbering Falls. However, is he taking Lumbering Falls? He is. I think I would have taken Rogue Refiner there and played it. We're going to play Saheeli, though. This won't cost him any energy thanks to Oath of Nissa. So here she is. Yeah, Death Metal Dame. The green red is just so fast when you get to play like, you know, Pummeler, Pump It, you're dead. So Christian is able to attack the Saheeli for 2. We have 2 more triggers on these Couriers. Yeah, I know what you mean, Death Metal Dane. What does the black give you access to? What do you play in black? So Christian actually just totally ignores Saheeli and goes after Richard some more. Christian right now in hand has a copy of Harness Lightning, Electrostatic Pummeler, Larger Than Life, and Long Tusk Cub. Christian gets pinged again by Saheeli ticking up. And Richard did put out this turn his copy of Aetherworks Marvel. So if he didn't play when this deck was rampant, I guess you could say, with the Eldrazi Titans, so Emrakul and Ulamog specifically, there it is. 6 energy. Look at the top 6 cards of your deck. You may cast a card from among them without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of the library in random order. There is that Fumigate, though. This is important. That's going to wipe the board. Richard is going to gain 3 life for his trouble. And Christian just loses all of those cards face down. Oh, those are good cards. That makes sense, Stain. Yeah, that makes sense. Saheeli takes up again. Pummeler comes down. 6 energy, 7 energy, I believe, total. 8 even, okay. So does Richard have a way to kill this second Pummeler? He's only got 1 energy, but I believe there's a Harness Lightning in his hand. if I'm not mistaken. There's an Attune with Ether. There's also a Whale. There's an Ahiri. Okay, so we're going to start with Attune with Ether. Go get a land out of our deck. I think if he had found his 6th land this turn, we might have just seen him play the Whale and then spin his Marble. But has to kind of take a long way around to get there. Finds a mountain, is going to play the mountain. So he ticks up. I do like his ordering there of scrying after he fetches the land. It's heads up. It's minor, but it is an important interaction to keep in mind. Because if you're scrying to the bottom, you don't want to shuffle that card back in somewhere. And if you want it on top, you don't want to shuffle your deck at all. So, Death Metal Dane. No, he does not. No, there are no copies of the elephant in his deck. Here we see a copy of Larger Than Life being cast, targeting the Pummeler. Richard is going to respond by Harness Lightning it. Now, Christian does have, it looks like a singleton copy of Heroic Intervention in his main deck, alongside 4 copies of Blossoming Defense. So he is able to save this potentially. Now, he is able to save it as well by pumping it twice if he wants to. What is he doing? You can't respond after that. What is happening here? What, I don't know what happened there. Did Christian pump after Richard paid energy? Because that you can't do. It was a 1-1. He had 8 energy. So he could have made it at most a 4-4, which Richard could have killed. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm not sure what happened, but the Pummeler does die, so I think Richard spent more than he needed to spend on it, but that's fine. That is a shock in his hand, though. Vest did mention earlier he saw the old shock art. You are correct. He has a shock from an older edition in his hand. Ticks up with Saheeli. Looks at a copy of Nahiri the Harbinger. Doesn't want that, though. Puts her on the bottom. 6 mana. I assume we're having a whale. We can't. He only has 1 blue source. And the whale costs blue. That's unfortunate. Perhaps you are, Vest. It looks like, yeah, there's another copy of Nahiri. Again, doesn't need to use any energy here because he does have that Oath of Nissa in play. So Nahiri comes down. Let's have a look at her. So there is the Harbinger. We're going to tick up. So you may discard a card if you do draw a card. He chooses not to discard a card, though. He's just going to go ahead and tick her up +2. Now this is important as he does have a copy of Shock in his hand. So if Christian attempts to pay energy into this cub, he can shock it in response. Now Christian does, if I'm not mistaken, have a copy of Built to Smash in his hand. So he can still save the cub. But Again, good sequencing by Richard to line up his spells correctly here. He's playing it right. He just the pump spells in Christian's hand are too much for him to overcome in this case. He's attacking the hero. That does not trigger. Okay, he's attacking Richard. I thought. Okay. He's gonna pay 2 energy to put a counter on the Long Tusk Cub. It looks like Richard does not respond. He just lets it happen. No, you can't. Okay, it was gonna build to smash. This could be him killing the Hiri, is my guess. Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah, so 6 damage to the Hiri. The Cub does kill it. No, it does not trigger because it has to deal damage to a player. And a Planeswalker is not a player. The Marvel does trigger as well because he lost a permanent, so he gets an energy. And he untaps. All right. Draws. Wow, that's just the game. Well, it's not. No, Christian has enough energy to kill the Felidar Guardian. That was the Guardian he drew, however. So he may go for it here. If he does, it's going to get stopped. Christian does have exactly 1 card in his hand, and it is a copy of Harnessed Lightning, unfortunately for Richard. So, but we're going to play the Whale, it looks like, instead, which I think is fine. Yeah, so there is the Aether Tide Whale. I'll bring it back up. Christian having a read, it's not one you see very often, but comes into play, you get 6 energy, pay 4, put it back in your hand. It's a 6/4 flyer. It's not bad for a body, I'll give it that. And I believe Vest is putting it, it's just a hard to kill threat. Yeah, Christian can't even attack, he just passes the turn back. Richard draws a copy of Servant of the Conduit. Not super exciting here. An attack for 6 comes across, though. Christian will fall to 8. This is a post-combat cat, I think. Yep. So Guardian's gonna blink the Whale. Just get another 6 energy. Sure, why not? Christian's gonna respond. Harness Lightning is going to target. I don't like that. Richard can just save it. This also now kind of says shields down for Richard. For Christian, rather. As he's using a Harness Lightning here on a Whale. The last card in his hand is a Blossoming Defense. Richard, of course, doesn't know that, but with the additional knowledge that there's now a Harness Lightning gone, it's less likely that you're going to be able to kill this cat. It looks like Richard's going to let the Harness Lightning resolve. He should gain an energy thanks to the Aetherworks Marvel, but it looks like he might have missed that trigger. Yeah, I mean, Christian has to use all his energy, sure. Oh, I guess that's true now. Yeah, I guess now Christian is not able to pay enough energy to kill the cat. So yeah, this is shields down. Yeah, okay. Christian draws for the turn. He drew a copy of Built to Smash. All right, Vest, it's been called. FJC has called it. You are a prophet. I think he's attacking Saheeli here, so this is for 6, 8? That doesn't even kill her. I don't like that. Well, no, I guess... Okay, well, if he finds another copy of Saheeli or another copy of Guardian, the game's over. He found neither. He found a copy of... I like playing Rogue Refiner here. Draw a card, get some energy. Just harness lighting, interesting. This won't kill. He gets to. No, that's not gonna work. No, the cat's not dead. It was like an 8/8 cat. We have to back that up. That doesn't work. Yeah, but that cat's an 8/8. It can't die. Yeah, I think the player's forgetting. So, okay, so Richard can still cast the Harness Lightning, and he can still target the cat. Actually, he can't. Christian casts a Blossoming Defense on it. He can't even target the cat. Or the cub in this case. He has to target his own Felidar Guardian. Pays 0. He gets to gain 3 energy for free. Yeah, so he can't attack. He can't target the Longtusk cub. He has to target his own Felidar Guardian. What are we doing? Did he just cast nothing instead? Okay. Sure. He drew a Guardian, so it doesn't matter. It's game over. Christian has no cards in hand, and he's gonna scoop it up. So, all right. So Richard does take down game 2. Okay. So yeah, our spotter is also our head judge for the event. So he's let me know that in this case here, they backed up to when the spell was cast with a legal target, and Richard opted to cast no spell instead. Not a big deal though, as again, Richard just drew a copy of Felidar Guardian and won the game. So that'll do it. So game 3 coming up, Christian does get the play. Very important here. I don't think anything really changes from sideboard. In terms of on the player draw here. He already had Bomac Couriers in. I would have to guess that if there was anything you want on play as opposed to draw, it'd be the Couriers. Yeah, no, I think his sideboard stays the same. Richard being on the draw. No, nothing really special there either. So, all right. So game 3, Christian looking at his opening 7 here. Looks like he has decided to mulligan that. Either that or he just wanted to draw 3 extra cards. Who knows? Richard looking over his 7 here. He looks to have, if I'm not mistaken, the Botanical Sanctum is a Guardian, a Whale, a Lumbering Falls, a Harness Lightning. I think he has a copy of Natural Obsolescence in his hand. I'm not entirely sure, though. He has kept, though. Christian's going to start on a game trail untapped, revealing a forest, and then passing the turn. Richard has Lumbering Falls go. Christian, his 2 mana play. He's going to have one pretty much every time. Servant of the Conduit here. Richard draws a pretty key land there in Spirebluff Canal, as it gives him red mana, which I think his hand was missing until now. Here we have a Pummeler. So I like I like just lightninging down one of these creatures. Yeah, the Pummeler's going to be the target. Seems like a good choice. Christian doesn't... I'm guessing doesn't have a copy of Blossoming Defense in his hand. He could have chosen to save the Pummeler if he wanted. Richard untaps. He's going to play a Plains. We could see Saheeli Rai come down here. We do. There she is. I imagine we're going to be ticking up on Saheeli Rai because her minus doesn't do anything right now. Okay, and I pass the turn back. So Christian in hand right now has... He's going to 2 of either, but he has a copy of Uncaged Fury and a copy of Larger Than Life. That represents a lot of damage. Those 2 cards alone is 10 damage, plus the power of the creature times 2. He also has a Harness Lightning. That one's not so exciting, but the other 2 cards, pretty good combination here. Now, he is able, if he'd like, to kill this Saheeli Rai. I don't know how inclined he is to do it. He does have to respect it because if Richard does have a copy, if Richard has 4th land Cat, he is just dead. Well, no, he has lightning again, so that's fine. Essentially, as long as Christian doesn't attack Richard by using a pump spell, he's fine. Looks like he attacked Richard for 2, which Richard just took. Now, I don't think Richard has an untapped 4th land here. Oh, I lied. He has a forest. Okay. There is a Botanical Sanctum in his hand as well. I'm a little curious as to why he didn't play the Sanctum last turn instead of the Plains. But... so tick up on Saheeli. Christian falls to 18. We're going to scry... Richard puts it to the bottom of the deck. So Sanctum will come into play tapped. Okay. And I pass the turn. So Christian draws only 1 threat now. This deck really needs its threats. That is a Hermit of the Natternolls. That's coming out of Christian's sideboard here. This actually isn't bad. Apparently I spelled it wrong. There it is. So, whenever an opponent casts a spell during your turn, draw a card. So, if Richard's going to be responding... I like killing the servant in response to the hermit. This could just be game if Richard has... Okay, it looks like he's doing it at the end of turn or possibly before combat. Christian's going to save it by using its own mana. That's not what you want to do. You want to... He needs to kill Saheeli this turn. I think Richard has a copy of the cat in his hand. So I think... Oh, he can't even kill it, though. He doesn't have enough mana to kill it afterwards. Yeah, it's been confirmed that Richard does, in fact, have a copy of Felidar Guardian in his hand. So I think Christian's actually just dead. Because he won't have enough mana to kill the cat. Yeah, he's just dead. Assuming Richard goes for this, the only thing that beats him here would be a shock to kill Saheeli in the middle of the combo. But, let's see, Richard, will he pull the trigger on this? If he does, he wins. Make an energy, sure. Yep, there it is. That's the game. So he still has to pull a trigger on going for it, because again, shock does break this combo up still. Okay, so target the cat, make a copy of it. That's going to resolve. So Death Metal Dane, the way that it works is Felidar Guardian says when this creature comes into play, exile a permanent you control and then put it back into play. So you exile Saheeli. She comes back in at 3 loyalty. You then use Saheeli's -2, which says create a copy of target artifact or creature you control. It gains haste at the end of turn. Exile the copy. So you make a copy of the Felidar Guardian. The copy comes into play. It blinks Saheeli. She goes back to 3. You make a copy of the Felidar Guardian again. It comes into play as a copy. Blinks Saheeli. Goes to 3. So on and so forth. You make infinite cats and then you kill them.